Welcome to the No Pricks Allowed podcast with Aaron Buchner from Cactus. Aaron, how are you today?
I am doing well. Are you having a good day so far?
I am. And I'm Wendy McConnell, by the way, and I forgot to say my name. So there you go. So, what are we going to be talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about financial planning.
Well, and I'm imagining that most people's financial plan is probably like mine, where I get my paycheck, I pay my bills, and then I spend what's ever left. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Oh, exactly. Perfect. That's exactly a financial plan. Don't you know that, Wendy? You're way on track right now.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's not really the way it goes, but that's the way I and probably a lot of people go about it. So let's talk about what we should be doing then.
Yes, and I think it's financial planning is something that is so confusing to a lot of people because the term is thrown around like a hot potato everywhere of what is a financial plan. I know even when I started, I used the term financial plan, and I don't think I really understood what it meant when I was using it. So it can cause a lot of confusion for many people when it starts out of how, when they start their journey of what is a financial plan. I'm sure, like I said, you're confused what a financial plan is, and I'm not surprised. Yet you work with financial advisors on the daily basis.
Yeah, well, knowing stuff and implementing stuff, those are two completely different things, right? So
What do
what
you
are we talking about then when we say financial planning? What do you think that entails? What is it that I should think of when I hear financial planning?
if you're using the term financial planning, in my eyes and my vision, you're talking about life. You're not just talking investments, you're not talking budgeting, you're talking about life because everything you do with your finances and spending money is about your life. So a financial plan needs to cover every aspect of your life down that road.
That's very open. That covers a lot.
And this is why it gets so confusing. Like even I remember, like I said, it was talking about the fact of the term can be used like a hot potato with around the industry of what is a financial plan. You see it on social media of, oh, have your financial plan. Advisors talk about financial plans all the time, but they all include something different. And even when I started, we're talking 9 years ago, I was only life licensed in the industry. So I could only sell life insurance and segregated funds through a life insurance company. Yet I use the term financial plan all the time of, oh, let's talk about your financial plan. And we took it just as buying life insurance and buying an investment. And I used that for so long. Or someone would come in and say, hey, we need to worry about our retirement and our income. And we would look at how do we take the money out and invest it properly and be like, oh, here's your financial plan. And it was used. And it wasn't until about 3 years ago when I went down the road of taking my CFP that I was like, whoa, now I know what a financial plan actually entails. It's not just buying life insurance, it's not just buying an investment. It encompasses so much more in depth that it covers, like I said, your entire life and every activity of your life. That it wants to make sure that what you're doing today, you're covered from here straight through to reach all of those goals that you would have in life.
So really need to kind of combat the term financial planning because we have this idea that it's just about investing. And you're saying, no, it's basically about everything you do with your money. That's the plan, what you're doing with your money.
Yes, yeah. So when people say, "Oh, I have a financial plan," they're like, "Oh, I know I'm putting so much money into this account so I can reach X dollars for retirement." And they say, "Oh, I have a financial plan." It's like, no, that's just an investment strategy. You know where the money's going. You know, okay, money's coming. I'm putting it into this account and I'm going forward. But you haven't thought about everything else in terms of, okay, what about all the goals you have between now and retirement? Are you achieving those, not just that one goal of retirement? What about the fact of how are the taxes going to play in now as well as the future? Like, have you even thought about that? Have you looked at what other and even the investments themselves, how what are you going to do later on? It might work right now, but what about 5 years? Are you still going to be able to handle that type of risk that you're taking on right now when we look at an investment? So it definitely is a deeper dive product that you need to do. And even my parents fall into this. Like they think they had a financial plan. They talk to me about investments. I don't do their investments themselves because don't mix money and family, as as like to say. I love my parents, but I'm not going to deal with their money. But I gladly help them out where I can. Where they say, "Oh yes, we they have an advisor at the bank who is a CFP," and they're like, "Oh, we have a financial plan. Is it? Do you want to look it over?" And all it was just an investment strategy. It was a 15-page document that just looked at their accounts, looked at what kind of investment product they were in, but didn't talk about taxes, didn't talk about life insurance, didn't talk about the risk factors ahead to it. And I'm like, you have a lot of gaps in this plan that you need to worry about today.
So can anybody create this plan, or is this something that's strictly, financial planners? You have to go to a financial planner to work all this out, or is this something that other people can kind of create for you?
And no, this is the Wild West in terms of what who and what a financial plan could be. That there is some rules and regulations around it, but it's really open ended in the grand schemes of things. Really, the people who should be providing at least financial plans to people or saying they have a financial plan should be licensed in the financial industry, because you're giving advice about finances, you should be at least regulated. But there is no stopping between someone who is just mutually fund licensed versus someone who's life insurance licensed versus the countless other designations to just say, hey, I'm going to start putting out this financial plan. Really, Wendy, you've been doing this for years. I'm assuming years. You've been podcasting for years with financial advisors, so you've gained a lot of knowledge over the past few years.
I have, yes.
That's- So really, if you ever got sick of this podcast game, you could go get yourself licensed and start selling financial plans if you really wanted to. Do a little side hustle if you wanted to. I don't think we'd all be too happy with you doing that.
What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say I wouldn't be a good financial advisor? How dare you?
I want you to stay on and help me through this podcast. And if I was to lose you, I would be devastated, Wendy. I can't replace you.
Listen to this backtracking. No, you are correct 100%. I would be a terrible financial planner. That's why I stay in my own lane. So, yeah, you want somebody that knows what they're doing, basically, is what you're saying, right?
Absolutely. And it makes it worse when it just feeds into that narrative of what is a financial plan and that confusion when nobody knows who can actually do a financial plan because everyone does it. You get all these people on social media putting like, "Oh yeah, come work with me and we'll build a financial plan for you." But they're not doing financial plan. They only know investments. They know nothing about life insurance. They're missing all these gaps, and it just feeds that stigma of what a financial plan is and how to properly educate people on what it should be and what it should look like.
You talked a little bit about the gaps, the taxes and the level of risk and all, but what are some of the main gaps that people are missing when it comes to their financial plan?
When we really look at a financial plan and a breakdown of what at least I include in it, because the issue is, like I said, financial plan can include anything and you can call it a plan. But I kind of have my steps of what I put into a financial plan, what I believe is going to be the most benefit for someone coming in to say, hey, I want to reach these goals. What should I do? And I think the first thing that most people miss within a financial plan is just having goals. Most of them, they just say, oh, I'm going to put money into an account, save up, and I'll have something at the end of the day. But they don't even know what are those goals. And I'm not talking about retirement because 30 and 40-year-olds sometimes don't want to think about retirement. They have other things like, I want to buy a house, or I'm going to have kids, or I'm going to go get a dog, or I want to go on these vacations, buy a car, all these other countless things. But you need to know what are these goals and when do you even want to achieve them to then say, okay, how can we best invest the money or put money towards reaching all of these goals? Like that's the first and foremost people are always missing.
So that sort of reminds me a little bit like, the banks used to, and I don't know if they still do. They used to have like a Christmas club or a vacation fund, and this was money that you put into in a separate account each week, a little bit of money, so that you had money, at the time when the holidays rolled around or if when your vacation rolled around. So is it something along that level that you're talking about? Just giving a specific amount to one particular goal each week, month, what have you?
Yes, it's absolutely, it's breaking down that pot of money that you have hopefully at the end after you've paid off your bills and you've done your budget, and you can say, okay, I have this much money. How do I best invest it to reach all these different goals? And some of them might be like, yes, I need to save for Christmas and buying presents because everyone loves to buy presents for the families and everybody goes overboard as much as we try and limit it. We all go overboard. So it can be as simple as, okay, you're going to spend, how much are you hoping to spend at Christmas? We're going to start putting that amount of money into a savings account so you can do that. And then we have those other goals of, okay, you want to buy a house in 5 years. So how much of a down payment are you going to need? Okay, we need to put so much money into that account to achieve that goal. And then, oh yeah, there's, you want to retire in hopefully 30 years when you're done and you want to get out and hopefully have all these things. How much money do we need to put into that account to achieve that goal? It's taking that pot of money and breaking it into smaller chunks and achieving everything rather than just taking that big chunk and putting it into one account and investing it into one thing and hoping it all works out in the long run.
So are you talking about when you're, trying to achieve these goals that you have before retirement, say saving up for a house or maybe a particular car or, something along those lines? Is this something that you should be investing as well or just like kind of putting money into an account? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
That's going to be dependent on the time frame of when you're going to need that money. Obviously, the shorter the time frame, you don't want to take on more risk. So, and we talk about risk is investing in the stock market. We don't know what's going to happen in the stock market in the next few years. We do hope it's going to continue to go up. But if the market happens to go down, which does happen, you don't want to lose out on that money. You don't want to put that money that you've saved up for Christmas so you can have that wonderful Christmas at the end of the year and have that be gone because of a downturn in the market that happened to happen in November of that year. So a lot of it is even understanding how, where the money goes, how much to save, and what type of account is all part of a financial plan at the get go and breaking it up to reach those goals when you want to in the time frames.
Okay. So what else do we need to know? Tell me a little bit more.
Uh, obviously the other one is cash flow. Right off the bat is something you always need to have is the cash flow or the budget. Everyone can say, I want to save for retirement. I want to save in 3 years and like 5 years, and I want to have $2 million. Let's just throw some figures out there just for fun. But you might look at your budget and say, you just cannot do that based on how much money you have. It's just not feasible. As much as we would all love to, the last thing I want to do anyone is have them come in and say, oh, I'm going to save for retirement. I want to be able to retire when I'm 65 with $2 million. It just may not happen based on your budget, that you may actually have to take a step back and say, okay, I can't save for retirement, but what else can I do at this time? Because I have other goals I want to achieve. Other things we always look at is the type of accounts that we're looking at. So we're looking at, there's multitudes of different accounts for different needs for different systems, that you need to know of which one should you invest your money into to be the most effective for you in reaching all those goals, either short term or long term. We look at fund types. So when we talk about fund types, we're looking at how much risk and volatility can you take in the stock market. So are you able to take a higher return that may go hot, that will give you a higher return, but also drop down a lot more throughout the years? But do you have a long enough time frame to recover during those downturns in the market? Versus something shorter, you may not want to take on those higher risks and put it into just a savings account where the money's just going to grow steadily and you don't have to worry about losing it. Taxes are a big thing that we always look into as well. How the money you're putting in today is great because everyone wants to save money or get tax breaks now, but what's going to happen in the future? when you have to take out that money, even at retirement, how much taxes are you going to pay in the long run, taking all that money out? And what plans are even in place now and tax breaks could be utilized today and in the future? I think the other one people always forget, which I find is always missing in most financial plans, is the risk factors. So when I talk about risk factors, I talk about not just life insurance of premature death, but what about other things that could happen? So we can talk about having an emergency fund. What happens if your roof it starts to fail and you have to replace that roof on your house? Where are you going to get the money from it? The last thing you want to do is dip into that retirement account, possibly be taxed at a higher rate, and now you're not reaching those goals. And trust me, roofs can be expensive. We did it only last year and it cost us about $40,000 to replace a roof. And we were kind of
Wow.
shocked by that number. Yeah, we went for the high end. We splurged on some nice high end rubber. It's a nice tile. We're going to sidetrack here. We'll talk about my house. But it was actually they're actually recycled rubber from tires. So they actually take used tires, it's been recycled into shingles that go onto the roof. And these things are supposed to last lifetime. So the hope is this is the last roof we will ever have to put on in the long run. And it's nice. We've actually had people come down the street and comment on how nice our roof looks now.
Who would have thought a bunch of old tires would look so good on top of a house? Well, that's long-term planning, you know? I hope you don't plan to move anytime soon.
No, there's no hope to move anytime soon. We
Oh,
love our house. We love our neighborhood. We're not moving the kids out of school at this point. I think we're staying here. I've turned this house up and down, renovated the whole thing. I don't want to move anywhere and start again.
there you go. And that's, something that really does need to be considered when you're looking for replacement things on your house. Like somebody who knows that they're probably going to be selling in 5 years wouldn't have put that kind of roof on because they know that it's not going to be something that they're going to uh, have a benefit of the investment after 5 years.
Exactly. Yeah, and financial planning is that too. It's not just the 30-year time frame. We're not just talking about if you're building a financial plan, it's not just retirement we're talking about. It's everyday life. It's all of these things that happen in terms of emergencies, in terms of saving for Christmas, vacations, a car breaking down in 5 years, replacing a car in 6 years, possibly moving. It's all of these moving pieces that are constantly going to change with people, because also the goals you have today, they may change. I might want to move in 5 years because a neighbor might move in down the street and I just don't like them and I want to get away from them.
Yeah. Yeah, you just never know what's going to happen. So, I mean, as a non-financial planner, non-financial good with numbers person, you can understand how all of this sounds like whoosh, right? Like
Oh,
just
absolutely.
it's just like okay.
And one of the hardest things to do is try to explain all of these things in such simple terms. I try and do it with even my kid, and it's hard. he's he's 7, so I try and break these things down to him because I figured if I can explain it to him, I can explain it to everyone. But even some of these terms, when we talk about estate planning, trying to break that down to a 7-year-old is difficult. Try to tell him, like, you need to think about what's going to happen when you potentially pass away and what's going to happen to your money. A 7-year-old's not thinking about it. Well, a 30-year-old's definitely not thinking about it.
Mm,
I'm not thinking about it. I'm like most people. I don't plan on dying for another, hopefully, 50 odd years. I'm hoping I'm still going
yes.
to be kicking at that time.
Yeah, that's
But
what we all
we
hope.
have to plan. Yeah, but we have to plan for these unexpected things that do happen. And even with estate planning, people think, oh, estate planning, like it's not about what's your burial and where you're going to be buried, are you be cremated or not. It can even just simple things of how does the money flow from my account to my wife's account? How am I going to make sure that money as efficiently as possible and as easy as possible moves from my account to her? Or even who's just going to take care of me if God forbid something happens and I need help to think about this? Who is that person that's going to come in and say, hey, I'll take care of you financially? So even estate planning, it's as simple as, do you have a will and do you have a power of attorney in place? Have you even done that?
Are we supposed to do? I'm really behind, Aaron. I'm just saying. A will? That's for like
Oh,
grown-ups, right?
yeah, it's very much the concept of adulting. You're not the only one. The amount of people who don't have wills are shocking, and it always comes up every time when I ask, "Do you have a will?" And they're like, "No."
Well, and I got to tell you, in all of us will-less people's defense, my husband and I do not have children. We don't have, really basically all we have is our house, So if one of us dies, the other's going to get the rest, right? So do we even I know you're going to say yes. I will preface it with this, but our my line of thinking is do we really even need a will because if I die it goes to him and if he dies it goes to me.
But if it's not written on the will, that's not a guarantee. You know what? We'll have to do this. You know what? You've sparked it. I will have to bring on a couple lawyer friends and we will talk about wills and you would be shocked. Granted, there's a
Oh,
lot around how it can work.
really? You're saying that somebody, say, in my family could try and get my house from my husband when his name's on the deed?
Potentially, yes.
Huh?
Things like that can happen depending on now it's all dependent. I'm going to be smart like a lawyer here. It all depends on where you live, what so the state and the province and what has been set in place. It's
Okay.
all going to be dependent.
Okay. Well, I look forward to that episode because, I know I need to get the will. I know I do, but I'm not really sure why, but I know I do.
You know what? I will talk to a couple of lawyer friends and I will have them come in and we will talk about wills and estates and just why you need it, even as a 30-year-old, why you should at least have a will.
All right. All right. I will brace myself for that. So, does every single person then need a retirement? I mean, excuse me, a financial plan? See, you've got it's all about
Must.
retirement. It's not. It's
See,
not.
I it's not. Look at that. See, that's what you're just making it worse for me, Wendy.
I'm
You know, we're trying
sorry.
to talk about financial planning and you use the term retirement, you know?
I'm sorry. So does every person need a financial plan?
You can guess the answer on this one, can't you, Wendy? What
I
is my
think
answer
you're going
going
to
to
say
be?
yes. I think that's what you're going to say.
Yes, everyone should have a real financial plan that's not just investments, that's not just insurance. It's not just how much money I save for retirement. They need a full financial plan. Even as a 20-year-old, like I will put it out there as even someone who's coming out of university and has their first job, they should get a financial plan in place right away. Because in the end, when you think about it, your financial plan becomes that retirement plan, which also all includes your estate plan. Because if you don't know what your goals are in your financial plan, how do we know what your retirement plan is going to be? The amount of people I have that come in that think like you that our financial plan is a retirement plan, and they come to me at age 65 saying we want to retire end of the year and have this much money, and we're like, you just it's not there. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot we can do, but this is the best we can do. But if you have that financial plan now, it's going to help you because the financial plan is something you do today and it's going to grow with you over the course of the 30, 40 years until you reach retirement.
So
And
why is it that everybody thinks that you don't need to worry about this stuff until you're older? And how do we go about changing that mindset?
I think a lot of people, they think financial plans are just retirement because that's when most people usually go through with getting a financial plan is okay, I need to think now about retirement because the playbook changes. We're now in a different lifestyle from I'm working and someone's paying me a paycheck and I'm paying taxes and they're coming off of my paycheck to, okay, I now have to take this money out of my account, somehow figure out how to pay my own taxes, use all these tax breaks and survive off of this pool of money. So a lot of people think that, okay, you don't need to do it till then. And a lot of people think it has to be more complex. Like, oh, if I'm just beginning, I'm just a kid, like I'm just saying, okay, I want to save for a house and this is my first goal. I don't need to think about all these things and it has to be more complex. But even it's those goals of what are all those plans you want to achieve now and having them in place and the risk factors and understanding. A lot of it is just purely education alone. Your plan can be very simple that you may say, you know what, I'm not worrying about retirement. I just want to save for a house. And that might be what your main goal is for the next 5 years, is save as much money as you can so you can purchase a house. But it's even just educating yourself of, okay, what are all the different accounts I can use to save? What are all the tax breaks I can use to help me purchase a house? And what are all the different investment strategies I can use to help me achieve it as early as possible? So a financial plan isn't necessarily just having that plan written down. A lot of it is just education on what is available to you and what is the best method to help you achieve that plan.
Okay, so to sum up, what are the things that we need to be thinking about when it comes to financial planning?
The first and foremost is it's education. That you, the whole point of a financial plan is to educate you on all the options out there that are available to help you achieve those goals and protect you against any risk factors that are out there, such as emergencies or health issues, and how that can affect you. It's also about the fact of it's reducing the anxiety and the regret that you can have when you're moving forward. The last thing you want to do, like I've seen, is people go into retirement and there's that anxiety of, do I have enough money? Am I doing the right thing? That financial plan is going to help you understand, am I making the right moves, and help you sleep at night. And I love my sleep. I get up early with my kids, but I need my sleep at times. So, and then understanding that it encompasses your whole life. It's not just an investment account. It's not just an insurance product. It's your whole life and what is everything going to do. And this is something that is going to move along with you for your entire time from now until you are no longer here. That financial plan will be with you. It just changes into a different name along the way.
Okay, I like it. So, if people have some more questions about what we've been discussing, how do they get in touch with you?
So as always, email is great. You can also call me the phone. I'm sure there'll be all my social media stuff in the notes, but you guys can reach me at aaron@prickfree.com, or you can always call me as well. And the website's a great spot to extra learn a little bit more, as well as you can book free time to talk with me all about financial plans and why you may need a will, which as I can see Wendy might be doing later this afternoon.
Okay. And what's the website address again?
The website is prickfree.com.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you, Aaron. And thank you for listening today. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time, I'm Wendy McConnell.
Thank you for listening to the No Pricks Allowed podcast with Aaron Buchner from Cactus. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.prickfree.com or give us a call at 613-876-9899. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Cactus. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. The contents of this podcast do not constitute an offer or solicitation for residence in any other jurisdiction where either Aaron Buchner and/or Sterling Mutuals is not registered or permitted to conduct business. The opinions expressed are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Sterling Mutuals, Inc. Mutual funds provided through Sterling Mutuals, Inc., commissions, trailing commissions, management fees, and expenses all may be associated with mutual fund investments. Please read the prospectus carefully before investing. Mutual funds are not guaranteed. Their values fluctuate frequently, and past performance may not be repeated.